Good morning, Peter.
Good morning, Paul. It's good to be joining you today.
Yeah, well, thank you very much for joining me. I'm really excited to hear more about the Somerset Catalyst project. First of all, if you'd like to talk a little bit about your background, that would be really good.
Okay. Some years ago, I was working for the defence company Kinetic, and at the time it was privatised, and there was a chance then for me to start a company. So I formed a startup, which was manufacturing civil training simulators for helicopters.
Right.
So I did that for a few years, and then I went on to become chief executive at Southampton Science Park, where I worked alongside lots of inspirational people who were building and exciting businesses.
Excellent. So you're well versed in startups and helping out and collaborating and getting things moving. So how did the project come about?
Well, some years ago, when I was at Southampton, I worked with a colleague, David Green, from Set Squared, and also with Alex Parmley, who at that time was working at Eastleigh Borough Council. We worked on a government-sponsored programme to help early-stage companies in the sort of green environmental sector. And then Alex Parmley moved on to become chief executive at South Somerset. And he said he got in touch and said, "Well, do you remember some of that good stuff we did back in Eastleigh? Would you and David come along and do some of that here in Somerset?" So that's how it all began, really.
Oh, excellent. Well, if you could, obviously excited. I know a little bit about the project. Looked into it. So what's it all about?
Its aim is to try to seed an entrepreneurial community in Somerset. It's actually funded through the business rates. The 4 local authorities in Somerset are allowed to keep some of their the business rates they collect and use this to support Somerset businesses. So it's very much Somerset focused. And the way we're going about it is we're focusing on trying to find businesses with or business concepts or ideas, businesses at an early stage which have the potential to grow. And we're not just looking for the business or the business ideas. We're also looking at the people. Are the people the sort of people who have the capacity to actually build that business, the resilience and the vision to take it forward? So it's the combination of those two things. And so we're holding a competition. We're looking for entries at the moment due to the closing dates around the end of August. And the idea is that the better companies will pitch for a place, and we'll choose about 10 of the best companies in Somerset. And then we'll go on and give them personal coaching. And one of the key things about this is that we are actually tailoring the program to the businesses, because no two businesses are the same and no two businesses have the same needs. So what we're trying to do is make sure that by using one-to-one coaching, we're actually tailoring this to what they need, as well as putting them in touch with all the other people who are on the program and using the power of the peer group to help motivate and inspire them. So there's a lot of things here which we've done before very successfully. So what we're really trying to do now is make it work here in Somerset.
That's great. And it's obviously come at a really good time with this year particularly, but there's a few people that I think of that spring to mind that are starting businesses. They're very ambitious people that certainly this would be right up their street to get involved and grow their business. So what kind of business sectors? Is it particular sectors, or quite widespread in terms of who can get involved?
No, it really is sector agnostic. We're looking across the board. So in Somerset, we're expecting everything from companies that are in the sort of Hinkley Point supply chain, right the way through to sort of artisan craft and food and drink, not to mention potentially some sort of aerospace and technology companies, and possibly even something around the sort of hydrographic office, all of those sorts of things. So really it's not about business sector. It's very much about the question of, have they got something which is of genuine value that customers are going to be willing to pay for? And does that look as though it's got sufficient market to be able to deliver growth?
Yeah, excellent. Well, so there's such a diversity of businesses within Somerset, and very strong network links in terms of people that know each other and collaborate on different projects. So in terms of the people that can apply, obviously it starts in early years. What's the kind of the top end of when where's the cut-off point?
There's nothing rigid here. I mean, we are expecting everything from somebody who hasn't even incorporated yet, but just has a great business idea and a vision, right the way through to companies that have been going for a while, and maybe they've just got a new idea or a new product or a new concept that they think is going to accelerate the growth of their company. Generally speaking, we're looking at small companies, up to about 10 people. But we wouldn't rule anything out in the sense that we're completely open-minded, and we'll take a dispassionate look at all the businesses and see which ones look as though they got the greatest growth potential.
And that's really good, because obviously there's been a lot of people that had to sort of take a step back from their businesses, particularly this year, or look at different routes to. I've speak to people that have been traditionally B2B, and they've just suddenly adapted to B2C, and the business has taken off because it's kind of thrown that in there that they've had to take a different look at things. So that's really good.
I think that's one of the keys about being entrepreneurial. The sign of the true entrepreneur is they'll spot the opportunities. And something like the pandemic has thrown all the norms up in the air. And it, of course, as well as causing problems for many businesses, it's also created a whole host of opportunities for those who've got the vision and the ability to spot them. And so actually, in some ways, now is a great time for entrepreneurs.
No, I think absolutely. I've seen that on people on LinkedIn of how they're pivoting their business, which has been one of the key phrases this year, and seeing those opportunities to grow new markets or adapt their service. But also, it's been doing things like this. In my experience, I've applied for similar things in the past and had great sort of mentors and support. It's this year particularly, it's a chance to take stock of if you've been going 2 or 3 years or longer, or things have changed, to take a step back and have that kind of helicopter view of your business and see what you've achieved, but also what potential there is.
Absolutely. One of the things we put a lot of emphasis on is the quality of our mentors and coaches, and they're all people who have real life experience. This is not a teaching program. It's not a training course, and nor is it an academic discipline. This is about practical stuff to get results. And a lot of the time we're bringing in people who have a lot of experience of working with small businesses, or actually, having founded businesses themselves, to actually help to challenge people and to get them to look sometimes at their business in a different way, just as you were saying. And I think one of the things that makes Somerset Catalyst stand out is going to be the people that we get involved to work with these exciting companies.
Excellent. So the project's already launched. It ends the end of the month, doesn't it?
The applications end at the end of the month. That's right. And then come mid-September, we'll actually be starting the program proper, and that will run for about 6 months. What we've found over the years is that many programs will be shorter than that. But we've found, in order to make the peer group work, in order for people to actually take on board the messages and apply them, we need a longer time period. So we put a lot of emphasis at the beginning on the workshops, building the peer group, and the latter part of the program is actually getting on and doing the business and putting into practice everything that they've been sort of coming across in the first bit.
And the people that are involved, such as yourself, in terms of your experience, is there a particular focus on maybe marketing or finance? Is it particular thing people go?
We try to put together a mentoring team, which actually bring together a lot of different skills. So, for example, the people that we're talking to at the moment, the team isn't finalised yet, but my background is very much as a manager of a founder of a business. My colleague David Bream had a very successful career in sales. We have other people who are coming on board who are specialists in intellectual property. We have a person who is an investor, works for a small company of institutional investors, and we generally bring in people who have experience of people management and skills and picking the right people. It's a real mixture of people, but the intention is that there's always somebody you can go to talk through a problem. Somebody who's actually not just going to sort of take it at face value, but who's going to challenge you and push you a bit as well. all of which is, it may sound scary, but actually it's a really useful and really positive experience from what people tell us. And last year we actually ran a pilot here in Somerset with about we had about 18 people. There were 16 companies, 18 people came to a 2-day boot camp. And that was very successful. We've had a couple of those companies have gone on to raise finance. One of them has moved its business very predominantly onto online sales during the pandemic, and their revenue is going through the roof at the moment. You know, these are the sort of success stories that we want to try to create across the whole of Somerset.
Excellent. Well, this is great. This is so good to hear, because when those businesses are adapted, and sometimes you come up to those roadblocks, and if you're looking to, say, for example, take on staff, your first member of staff, it's that big hurdle. Yeah. And with the wealth and experience of you and your team, that's going to make it so much easier for them to, to grow their business. Whether it's in finance, sales and marketing, this is a really good project that's come at a really good time.
I think the other thing about our network of mentors is that they themselves are very well networked. And what we've found in the past is if a company is good and we can see an opportunity in a market, often we're able, either first hand or second or third hand, to put those companies in touch with very influential people in the market that they're operating. And that's often very important. That, and I suppose the contact with a number of potential investors, which is a key thing. A lot of people have thought that during the pandemic, actually, investment isn't happening. But one of the companies we were working with before I came into the Somerset project has just secured a £3 million investment, which is in the midst of the chaos of the pandemic. So I think it goes back to my point that just because there's a pandemic going on doesn't mean that business isn't active and vibrant and making things happen.
Yeah, and I say, as you say, it's already thrown everything up in the air, and as you said at the start, it's spotting those opportunities that are there amongst all of that, and where's there a chance to adapt your business or grow it. And it sounds really, really good. So people can apply on by the website. Is it by email or?
Yes. No, there's a web form on the website, which is Somerset Catalyst, all one word, somersetcatalyst.co.uk. So if you go on there, it tells you a little bit about the program. There are a couple of case studies which came out of our pilot boot camp, and there's a web form. And importantly, there are some guidance notes with each section of the form as well. So if people are actually interested in applying, make sure they read the guidance notes, because it will make it a lot easier to fill in the form.
Brilliant. Excellent.
But the idea is quite simple. I mean, the form actually just tries to focus on teasing out what the business is about and what the potential markets are. And it really is intended to be a very simple, because really what happens is if people are actually successful in putting in an application form that we think is interesting, we'll invite them to come and pitch to a panel of experts, which will include me, but it will include a number of other people as well. And they'll have to do a 10-minute presentation of their business. But more importantly, there's then about 30 minutes of discussion about the business. And that's when we really get some sort of feel about the person who's behind it. So it's quite a rigorous process, but it's also quite a exciting process, because some of the feedback we've got from people who haven't made it in the past is that the process of coming and pitching and getting the feedback in itself was very challenging and very interesting, and helped them in their business. So that's the sort of thing that will be going on during August and early September as the applications come in.
Excellent. Well, thank you for joining me today. We will share all of the details about the project, how people can get involved. It's really good. It's really good for Somerset. It's come at a really good time. So thank you for joining me today, Peter.
Thank you very much, Paul. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you. So there we go. Wonderful chatting to Peter today from the Somerset Catalyst project. If that's you, if that gets you excited, if you're an entrepreneur, if your business has just started up during lockdown, or there's opportunities there for you to grow your business, if your business is taking a different direction, this is the opportunity for you. We'll share some details. Get involved.